Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another Lead Squared webinar. I am Shivani Roy and I work for the marketing team at Lead Squared. You may have also received an email or two from me at some point in time. So let's get straight to it. We are talking about real estate and what's the latest buzz and what's happening. We were just talking about rent prices going up. So we'll discuss that and much more. We are specifically going to talk about how technology gives you that competitive edge. So it's PropTech 2.0, how technology gives you that competitive edge. We have a great panel here today. Let me just get to the introductions. We have Mr. Anuj Agrawal, who is the head of strategy at Zolo. We have Mr. Ankit Pradhan, who is the chairman and managing director at Viraaj Ventures. And we have Mr. Somil Mathur, who is the co-founder of PropReturns. And I have Jagrati from my team, who is going to moderate and take us through the session. Quick note to everyone who has joined. We want this to be a conversational session. If you have any questions, comments, please keep them coming. The panel here will help address those. And if you just want to say hi, do so. With that, Jagrati, all yours.
Thank you so much, Shibani. Like you actually rightly said, we have a phenomenal panel today with us, and I'm excited to be talking about what technological updates has been going around in the real estate sector and how has it helped sell more properties for businesses. To start off with, maybe Anuj, Somil, Ankit, y'all can give us a little bit of a background of what you do, what's your expertise, etc.
Sure. So we are here. We have our services across all 360 degree of real estate services. We are primarily into brokerage services, pan India and globally. We are also towards development of real estate projects. We are also towards leasing as well as the legal consultation for all our real estate services. We are based out of, we are headquartered at Noida and based out of about 12 cities in India and about 3 countries across the globe.
Great. Somil, Anuj.
Yeah, so Jagruti, my company is number one in terms of co-living sector. So to tell everyone about co-living, it's like advanced form of paying guest or PG, what we know. And we do cater student housing as well, both in the B2C as well as B2B business, where it's outside the campus and inside the campus, managing all the hostels. We do have industrial housing, another term which is for all kind of blue collar staffs, like any Tata institutes or anything like that. And then we have another subsidiary, which is the assets dealing into all kind of brokerage deals and everything related to that. So a couple of businesses, all inclusive of co-living, student housing, and creating different kind of experiences for our customers.
Great. Sounds good. Somil?
Yeah. Hey everyone, I hope you can hear me. I'm assuming there might be a little bit of a background noise. That's because I'm a little bit on the move. So yeah, I'm from PropReturns. I'm one of the co-founders at PropReturns. PropReturns is a real estate investment marketplace. We primarily help in discovery of investment assets in commercial mainly. Currently, we're operational in two cities, Bombay and Delhi. And yeah, we're a young company. We're about just we recently completed our 2 years, and yeah, I'm excited for this session and to talk to all of you.
I'm sure I think everybody is happy. And audience, I will just tell you, don't mind me taking notes because I'm sure we are going to have a lot of knowledge bombs thrown around and I wouldn't want to miss any one of it. So, without further ado, let's get started. I mean, the elephant in the room, we all know that the real estate sector is booming. Whether, Ankit rightly mentioned, whether it is commercial investment or residential investment, according to an industry report, it has predicted $1 trillion of investment in real estate by 2030, and that the sector will contribute to about 13% of the GDP by 2025. So, in India, this growth is predominantly fueled by commercial and institutional buyers in the industries due to renowned demand for office spaces and hospitality. Now that everything, thank God, is back to normal. But when it comes to residential property buyers, it has been a bearish trend because properties prices are skyrocketing and not a lot of residential buyers can afford it. So I would maybe probably start with Ankit. If you can share some of the key factors that affect residential or rental property demand, and how have the consumer expectations sort of evolved after the pandemic?
Right, Jagdish. So we all need to understand there is a chronology attached to it. So first of all, we definitely will see growth towards the commercial properties as well as the office spaces, because once employability comes in, then only the habitation around it is required. So it's a chronological demand and supply ratio that we need to understand. Post-pandemic, there has been two factors. A, the residential demand did skyrocketed because everybody understood the real meaning of life. So the work-life harmony is something that we all have understood after the pandemic only. But at the same time, due to the supply chain challenges, due to the challenges led by the rise of construction material and the rise of land prices, the prices is again skyrocketed at the place of supply. So not only the demand skyrocketed because everybody wanted to move on to bigger houses, larger spaces, houses which can have a work office for them, but at the same time, the construction prices and the land prices also moved to a larger spectrum. That is somewhere the user was did find it difficult and difficult to afford these residential spaces. But I won't say that it has been more bearish. I would say it's still taking time, and right now, people are looking for larger spaces, multi-dimensional spaces where they have a space for their work from home scenario. They have a space for where they can have their toddlers around, a space where they can have their parents along with them. So that has been a paradigm shift. Secondly, a lot of people, because of the work from home scenario, did not came back from their tier two, tier three cities. So that has also shown a little bearish trend as far as the residential rentals are concerned, because people are doing going on hybrid models. So that supply, which was always migrating towards the metro city, is now back home, and only 20 to 30% has come back. But now, as the supply is again getting on, people are going back to their work from office module. I think this will be soon getting bullish, and people will also be able to accommodate the price rises or the home loan interest rate sooner or later, and they will come at peace. Because there's also a challenge that people have a mindset, a price point in their mindset, which they don't want to move ahead of. So I think that is also in concern.
Very rightly said, Ankit. I think Anuj, if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, sure, Jagrati. As you rightly mentioned about 1 trillion investment by the end of 2030, what we see altogether now, there's a alternate investment class which is kind of booming right now in terms of investment. So investors are pretty smart. As mentioned by Ankit, most of them either are staying in tier two or tier three cities. They have not moved to the current city. That's why we are seeing the bearish trend for a second. But with time, as we have seen in Zolo also, and we have also in our products also, we have defined that alternate investment classes are working very fine, where people want to invest in certain classes where those investment can give them quick returns, especially for Generation Z. Because just to give you an example, we have a platform which is Z Assets, where we work with the developer and construct such kind of buildings which are BTS, which is built to suit as per a paying guest or maybe a kind of a co-living standard wise, a proper set dimensions and everything. And then we sell those units to the retail units, people like you and I. And those units then we take inside our own Zolo and take them as a kind of a rental scheme and give those rentals to that particular owner who is the retail customer. So with that mean the customer is owning a property and they're getting a proper monthly rental like an annuity model. So those kind of things are pretty much coming up in this market these days, what we have seen. And also, I mean, car and house, these two things are very personal to a person. They really think a lot while buying all such stuff. And it's kind of an emotional game. And when you talk about those emotions, there are multiple things which are coming into the place, like income is increasing. The tax rates are pretty much now good in terms of your buying of a property. Then you have home loans, which are pretty cheap now in terms of getting those home loans are very accessible because we have multiple home loan partners now. And then we have different kind of living standard, which is coming in place where people want to have a very good living standard. So they want to stay in posh society. So I think probably next year onwards, we will see a bullish trend where people are going to be buying in all kind of CRE as well as residential spaces. And we will uptake that particular 1 trillion mark to maybe on top of like 1.5 or 2 trillion. Yeah.
That sounds really positive. I think, yeah, the journey of buying a house, like you rightly said, it's an emotional game. And especially in India, where the value system that is always instilled in us is to have a property of our own as an investment. It's a positive investment for us, unlike other countries in the West, which normally want to rent rather than own. Now, I'm sure the investment and the tax rates that are going on for properties in the West, they're happy to rent rather than own because tax rates are going double right now. Somil, as an investment option for probably residential properties, what are your thoughts on that? What are the consumer expectations right now?
So just to clarify, I am not as well versed with the residential market as these two gentlemen here. We mainly just deal in commercial. However, one thing I will say is this is more from a personal experience. Also, I've seen that post-pandemic, everyone I think has realized how uncertain life can be and like how important homes and investments are on daily lives. So I think that realization has set in into the younger generation as well. And with the new up and coming innovative models of actually owning homes, people are looking towards those kind of investments where they can, get sort of steady returns, steady rental returns. So that's very exciting to see. And like everyone here, I'm extremely positive on the market as a whole. I think the next 2, 3 years are going to be, very exciting.
Sounds good. So yeah, I think everybody has mentioned that in India the market is really positive. Even the kind of upbringing or the value system we share is that we view home investment as a very secure and safe investment. Even our government is pro home buyers and in terms of taxation and schemes, etc. But it does involve a lot of a long sales cycle, and there are a lot of negotiations involved. And a lot of youngsters these days are not pro going through so many negotiations or paperwork or interacting with a lot of stakeholders. So as a realtor or a developer, what are some important values that you can showcase in terms to attract the right set of buyers, be it somebody who's in their 40 or 50 years of age, and somebody now, because of Bitcoin and blockchain, even 20, 25 year olds have the disposable income to own a house. So how do you sort of showcase values for your properties, for your projects, to these different set of buyers? Ankit, would you take this up, please?
Sure. I think the most important factor why today the millennials and everybody is more comfortable with the investment option going on, which is non-tangible rather than a tangible asset like real estate, is because of the all the clutter that we have towards the marketing and schematics of the things. People are not concerned about the offers and schemes today. They're more concerned about the transparency, the hassle-free transaction, as well as a value proposition for their investments. So I feel today the most important factor that a developer or a real estate broker should have is that they should be very transparent in the communication or the messaging that they want to tell their consumer about. Today it's about how easily, how in plain language you can give the value proposition to your client rather giving them all kind of fancy or Ponzi schemes. That is the only thing which has actually gone really bad for the real estate industry in the last decade. That whenever a lot of Ponzi schemes were there and the actual value proposition was not there, people actually moved out of from the real estate as an investment option and chosen the other options. So when we have to buy mutual funds, when we have to buy crypto, it's easier for we. We go to a Sensex, we see the index prices, we see where the trends are, and we buy it. But now I think that is where the PropTech comes in because we all need to have data points. We need to research the market. We need to all kind of data migration, present it to our consumer. That okay, these are the factors that you should have thought about before buying your real estate investment. And either you are a small short-term investor or a long-term investor, every particular asset class is available within the real estate as the master asset class. So I think that is something which is of utmost importance in today's world, and I think that is what people are actually graduating to as well, and that is making a lot of difference. A lot of transactions are happening online thanks to pandemic. We all have created our digital platforms where 100% of the transactions of real estate happens through online. There is no physical site visits required. There's no physical involvement is required. So I think it's turning the tables around at the real estate industry as well.
I think you've mentioned one of the most important points of how sort of the buying cycle or the buying behavior has evolved from both a real estate realtor's point of view as well as a buyer's point of view. So, if you could throw some light upon how do you sort of use technology to probably sell a house or a project to a prospective buyer.
Right. So, what happened? We have seen a lot of real estate portals around for a decade now, more than a decade. But, like you rightly said, that an individual who's working in his own life is very busy to, go out for negotiation and stuff. And these marketplaces normally only had a platform where buyer and sellers can communicate. But all the things were supposed to be done by themselves. So the seller and buyer again needs a middleman, again needs somebody who can negotiate on their part. And when the negotiation comes in, you need some data-backed negotiation strategies because I cannot say I want an apartment at 10 lakhs and you cannot sell it at 20. There has to be a set format for it, like in stock exchange. So now we have got platforms and we have got players who are coming up with very transparent scenario. All the use of walkthroughs and 3D modeling of the apartments, homes, as well as commercial spaces, office spaces are very up available. We need to understand that home shopping has always been a very hit because if you can be at the comfort of your home office, etc., and then you can do buying. That is what changed the paradigm of retail industry as well. Online shopping has a lot taken a lot of share of the retail shopping. So today if the platforms are able to show transparently each and every aspect of that real estate property, and the buyer can go on and see the trends of last 5 years, the transactions that are happening in with the authenticity of the registration department of that state, that what are the last transactions happening, like it happens around the globe, that you can go out transparently see what are the last 5 deals happened at, what was the stamp duty paid. So all these things now coming on a digital platform gives a lot of comfort to the buyer who's buying, and the seller also does not go out for demands which are not practical enough. So I think that gap has now reduced a lot, and all the people who are coming up with tech are doing a great job. I think it's very important for the industry.
Sounds good. I think Somil and Anuj were agreeing to this. Do you have any thoughts to share on the kind of gap that has reduced between a buyer and a seller?
So, Jagriti, I would like to interrupt over here. In terms of a house, it's a very high involvement product. Person has to deeply involved when it comes to buying of a house or any kind of a commercial real estate as well. Whenever any kind of such buying happens, the technology plays a lot of role these days, where you have all kind of understanding of the terrain, the market, the kind of environment around that house, whether that house is sustainable or not, what kind of carbon footprint you'll be creating out of that particular house. So people who are pretty much conscious in terms of environmental, in terms of otherwise, they can see those kind of things upfront now. Most of the companies are dealing into this. Even everyone is now going online, making showcase your house in front of you without you visiting over there as a person. So these kind of new technology, along with the kind of easiness in terms of booking wise, because all the different platforms have integrated their channel partners, their payment partners. Now, with the help of a single click of a UPI button, you can make a deposit. And that is the power of UPI. That is the power of technology which we are getting. Earlier, we have to go through a proper process, then even registration, the khata, the title, everything gonna be in a sequence. Now everything is going online. You see most of the things have come online, and that makes a good power to a consumer while searching. And those kind of search and discovery platforms have improved a lot. They don't even tell you what is the exact project type. They will also tell what is the construction, who constructed, at what point of time the construction happened, what are the different facets, how far is one property from another nearby destinations. So that is the power which you get when it comes to the real world which is having these days. So probably with the technology improvement and everything, I think this gap of supply demand is decreasing, and people who are creating those supplies, they're easily getting those people who are getting those demands, and they're buying those particular properties.
Somil, from a commercial perspective, of course, the volumes are not as high as residential properties, but when it comes to the transaction value, it is quite high. So, of course, convincing a commercial or an institutional buyer is a lot more difficult as compared to a residential buyer. So, what are some of the expectations that you've observed or seen when it comes to buying commercial properties or investment?
Sure, yeah. So, one thing that is definitely different from residential real estate is that, like you rightly mentioned, the volume is not high, but the ticket size is definitely much higher. And just piggybacking on what Ankit said about the market, I think real estate is on the market where I think trust is everything. Like, whatever you're working on, you have to build trust through the product. So, for example, for us, we do a lot of transactions um, which have a huge offline element as well. So, and what I want to say here mainly is that it's not necessarily that everything, like in our case, everything can't be done online. There are a lot of negotiations, there are a lot of inspections to be done with commercial properties. However, there is a lot of scope of innovation there as well. Like companies are building internal operational tools to kind of bridge that gap so that you can effectively reduce the turnaround time with any customer, right? So apart from the client facing product, I think there is a suite of internal operational tools also that are coming up that can really help the overall process, the overall industry. I mean, traditionally we've been seeing the old, real estate companies. They were basically just classifieds, right? Like Ankit mentioned, they had a lot of problems. They were inundated with like fake listings, broker listings, incorrect information. So I think verified data, verified transaction history of any kind of a asset, commercial asset, is what matters most to any potential investor or potential client. So yeah, I mean, even at PropReturns, we care deeply about our customers. We kind of try to give them everything that they need to close on a deal fast, from seamless discovery, dedicated offline support, even post closure. So there are a lot of innovation going behind the scenes as well that mainly most of the clients are not necessarily able to see, but which does increase operational efficiency.
I think, yeah, I totally agree. Even though the buying patterns or the buying cycles might be different for real residential as well as commercial properties, but there are certain common aspects like building trust and providing that service that the potential buyer trusts you and does business with you. So, coming from there, like it in terms of messaging or highlighting pain points, how does one sort of differentiate oneself from the competitors? Because real estate is a highly competitive market, and there are brokers and dealers and projects coming up left, right, and center. So how does one sort of differentiates one messaging or convince the buyer that yeah, they are the right people to do business with? And I think, Anuj, you can take this up because Zolo was one of the pioneers of co-living in India, of introducing co-living in India, and now we have a lot more other co-living companies also mushrooming. So how do you sort of maintain that brand identity?
Yeah, so just to start with, officially, Magic Brick has kind of declared that around 20 lakh people or 24 lakh people every month search for a PG, just because they don't want to get into the hassle of brokerage or maybe 1 month or maybe 10 months deposit in case of Bangalore. So the kind of services has moved from the conventional kind of renting. If I first of all talk about renting, so there are two pain points. First, from the person who is renting that particular PG or that apartment, and second is from the consumer point of view. So the person who is a conventional PG, they are not able to churn their asset that much. Their overall utilization is not that much. They don't have a particular partner who can manage end-to-end show for them, and they don't have even kind of a good reputation in the market because they are present only in single place location. So the kind of marketing effort they have to do a lot, and there's a very limited scope of marketing because a person can come either on Google or maybe Magic Break to just search for a PG, and there are n number of pages. There is no differentiation behind that. Everyone is the same. A Balaji PG is same to a Shraddha PG. It's similarish. But when it comes to a kind of a buyer or the person who wants to stay in these kind of PGs, those facilities are not that much. A person in a rented apartment, the person has to go through that hassle of searching those apartments, then getting into the brokerage, then getting inside that particular apartment, shifting everything, moving those aspects, investing so much amount in terms of setting up that apartment and everything. So those kind of paradigm shift has happened. What we have seen as a leader in this segment, that now consumers are pretty smart, and even the person who are kind of renting out those PGs. So people want some kind of a partner who can help them to run their show, and consumers want those kind of companies who can help them to stay in their particular apartment with a set kind of quality and experience. So if they come in, they get a good check-in style. They can book everything online through an application. They can search their properties without any hassle. They do their billing and submissions, everything online. And they also can register any kind of complaint tickets, because earlier that used to happen from XYZ person. Now it is all online because there is a TAT involved into it. So that kind of paradigm shift has happened when it comes to the renting part. From the buying side, as I mentioned earlier, now people are much more interested towards a kind of a business where they can get some kind of investment. If they are going towards the investment side, they can get continuous return out of that. So they want to invest in certain classes of apartments where if they buy that apartment, somebody can uptake that apartment and give them those rentals in an annuity format. So those kind of efforts, like we have seen from our end and our research, that people are moving towards those trends, especially all these millennials in Gen Z, where they don't want to stay in those apartments, but they just want to rent it out for an investment property wise. If they want to stay in those apartments, they're pretty much open. As I combine both of their points, Somil and Ankit, there's a high involvement product. They can search everything online. But yeah, if someone is particularly involved in that particular in that apartment, the person has to go offline and see that apartment, because that is the caveat which we have to still understand from the current world. But going forward, I can see probably with the help of AI, 3D technology, we'll be able to see most of the people moving towards the online segment, and they'll do online business. So yeah.
That's true. I mean, I think I was also just the other day I was having a conversation with my husband about investing in a property in Goa, and we don't want to stay there. We just want to use it and put it up on Airbnb so that it can give us some returns in terms of stays and rent. But yeah, I think this is one of the trends that are going on that I've seen that is picking up pace, especially when it comes to the Gen Z crowd. And one other thing that even I think Ankit also rightly mentioned, that the idea of home shopping or home buying has become really important for youngsters like us. And so, Somil, I would want to ask you, how can one sort of help our prospects reach that aha moment faster with their product and offerings rather than physically interacting with them?
Yeah, so the aha moment. Okay, so to be very honest, personally, I feel the aha moment comes gradually. I don't think there is one single thing that you do that can give you that aha moment. There are little things that you innovate in your products, thinking about the customer behavior, thinking about what the user is looking for, and solving the right set of problems. Like in our case, I think the biggest problem that we wanted to solve for our user base, which was mainly HNI investors investing into commercial real estate, was transparency. India is a very fragmented market. There is there are like so many brokers, so many people. There is no regulation on who can be a broker, in fact. So I think the transparency issue is the one thing that we mainly focus on. Apart from that, it's like I said, it's building the right set of tools and services. Sales cycle in commercial real estate is very high. So to bridge that gap, providing the right kind of support post closure, there are certain deals that happen that can even after the agreement and everything that like the due diligence, the signing, everything can take up to, let's say, 3 to 4 months. So how do you work on that? How do you minimize that? How do you make it for the buyer, and how do you make it easier for the buyer and seller to be able to transact easily? These are the kind of things, small problems that you go about and solving for your customer. And after working like a few weeks, few months, slowly that moment comes for most people.
Sounds good. Ankit, do you have any thoughts to share about how, sort of, because this is again a very relationship centric transaction that one has with their broker as well as the buyer. So, how do you sort of help them reach that aha moment?
To be honest, I always feel that all the companies who are into the service industry, they have a department called customer care department, which is of utmost importance. But I believe customer care is something that is our primemost duty, but it should be converted into a customer delight department. If I cannot give delight to my customer, I'll never get a repeat customer. Customer care is something that the consumer always expects for, but customer delight is something that they do not seek. And normally, even if we talk about that, so we think highly about giving customer delight. Normally, 90% of the customers would laugh off that it's just a sales gimmick. The moment I do the transaction, from the next day onwards, I'll be seeing a different you. So I think it's very important for us to be on our toes for all kind of challenges or support that a customer requires after the transaction. Because up till transaction, every salesperson is gives them the feeling of a Ferrari, and after that, it might be a antique car. So I think that is something we all need to work upon on, and as promoters, as senior leadership, we all are working towards it. And the same values should be imparted to all our management trainees who are joining our organizations. Because normally people do very are very excited up till the sales cycle, but post that, if you have to serve the same customer without getting the revenues, incentives, etc., it becomes difficult. It feels like a baggage. But I think times are changing, and we all are changing ourselves, and we are going to the old teachings by our elders that consumer comes first. So I think it's changing, and I think customer delight is something we all should try to achieve.
I think this is, I think, one of the highlight key takeaways for me for this session, that we should work towards customer delight and not just customer care. Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, that now the real estate market is no longer just about having friends or family advise on, yeah, this is a good investment or this is the right time to invest. There are several other factors that contribute to this decision, and of course, as Gen Z and millennials, we want to have the right location, we want the right kind of facilities that should be there, we want proximity to maybe schools, hospitals, entertainment centers, etc. So, as a business or as a broker or a developer or a property manager for that instance, how does the ideal marketing strategy for a business look like in this segment? Somil, maybe you can start in terms of what should be the ideal marketing strategy.
Sure. I think the way we approach marketing is slightly different from other companies. That's because we're a marketplace. We don't hold any bias against an individual asset or an individual product. So we are not necessarily marketing one property, one product, one project, or anything like that. As a marketplace, our main goal is to connect buyers and sellers to provide liquidity in the marketplace. So the way we do marketing is we mainly just focus on market intelligence. I think that's something we rely on heavily. When I say market intelligence, it can be micro market intelligence, intelligence about the buildings, the population, the footfall, what the market sentiment is looking like, what have been the trends in these coming days, in the upcoming weeks and months, what kind of forecasting can be done. Um, so yeah, this is the kind of marketing that we mainly focus on, and because this is, I feel, this is what matters most to our clients.
That's good. I think, yeah, market intelligence and getting those minute insights about what is around the property, what kind of consumer expectations are we solving for, etc., is really important. And also, like we said, I think this is also for residential properties. It's a game of perception and how the consumer sort of perceives a developer or a project builder. And so, Ankit, I would want to ask you that when it comes to such a heavily competitive market, where only now marquee developers are being trusted, blindly trusted, even though it's overpriced, I'm sure they are,
Yeah.
be it a Loda or any other property builders. So, as an upcoming developer who is sort of going to build his first project, what advice would you give such a business owner, that how do they market themselves and build that trust among the community?
Yeah, look, foremostly, what we need to understand is that right now it's not about sales and marketing. Sales and marketing is only a tool for lead generation today. But when it's about client acquisition, the most important factor is, which is the basis of sales and marketing, which is problem solving. If you are unable to solve the consumer's problem with which they have come out, we won't be able to, sell what we have curated for them. As a realtor and as a developer, because we, even if there is a developer, they are not planning just one product; they will be planning multiple products. So they need to understand what kind of problems the consumers are facing in that particular micro market or that particular city. Based on that research only, the products should be phrased and framed. And as far as the realtor is concerned, I believe it's more about a purpose-driven salesmanship that will take them long. Because I'll just quote an example. A few days back, a consumer of ours requested for a home buying. They asked that we would like to go on for an apartment. They said, what is the purpose of the same? That I would like to go rent free. So right now I'm paying rentals of 20,000 per month. I'll buy an apartment for 60 lakhs and I'll be saving on my rent. So we asked that, okay, do you have a domicile of this state or are you moving? Are you into IT or something? So he said, no, I've just moved on. And maybe in a couple of years, I'll again move to Pune or Bangalore where I've got a better location because right now I'm talking about Noida. So we advise them because a personalized counseling is very important for a consumer. They don't understand the game well. We advise them that, okay, go on for a commercial investment, which will fetch you returns of 7% upwards. For 60 lakh rupees, you will be getting 7% return annualized. That will give you more than double of the rentals that you're paying right now. And then you have a freedom of moving from one apartment to another. You can move on to a bigger apartment size, still save on that particular money with you, and your commercial property capital appreciation is much more than the residential property. So sometimes a personalized counseling is very much important that we create a portfolio for the client. And by this particular practice of ours, by this particular effort of ours, we get not only referral businesses but repeat businesses from the same client. So I think it's very important we just don't be the sales and marketing mouthpiece of a developer. Or even if I'm a developer, I just don't give what the consumer asks for. I need to understand their problem first and then counsel them toward the right direction for their funds that they are planning to invest.
I think very rightly said. Yeah, sometimes even though there's so much of information overload, we don't know what's best for us truly, and we do need that bit of counseling when it comes to making big decisions, especially heavy investment decisions. Anuj, what I'd like to ask is, when it comes to the space of co-living, this is more so of a metro city game where a lot of people come to metro cities for better job opportunities and everything. But if you wanted to sort of expand your market to probably tier 2, tier 3 cities where there are not a lot of job opportunities, but the standard of living, the peaceful life that it's there is a little bit better. So how does Zolo approach that market space?
Right. So, see, the motto of ours is what you see is what you get. And in this world where everything as a gimmick wise, they put very good pictures. And when you get into that property, you don't get those kind of beds or those kind of properties inside. The overall look is pretty much different. So for us, our motto is to reach out those markets where some kind of value additions can be created. And what we have seen in the trends wise, most of the migrations are happening in the likes of all cosmopolitan cities. But to answer your question, if Zolo would like to get into the market of, let's suppose, Jaipur, Indore, and all these tier two cities, probably the places where there will be more younger crowd, like all students, where we have students living outside the hostel, or maybe young professionals who are working in some kind of a banking industry. These kind of consumers can be targeted. So the target strategy would be in terms of influencers, where particular influencer is gonna be the main point of contact, and those people can create those value additions for all these people. Because to reach out to this market, they don't understand this co-living space or PG space firstly, because they are staying in their own houses from years, and they have their own, I mean, sibling houses or all kind of maternal houses they're staying since long. So to create those kind of information or to bridge that information gap, it is very much essential for a company like ours to bring on, rather than a normal advertisement, someone who's an influencer who talks in their language. Because what we have seen in the likes of all industries like Nika and your Purple and your Myntra and all, they have cracked this market because of such influencers, because those people can connect very well. That if they can stay, then we can also stay. If they use those products, we can also use those products. So that's the way probably companies like ours or any company who are into the likes of all cosmopolitan cities can penetrate into such markets, and that too in those regions where there are more students and more working professionals.
So I think that's a very good segue into how Zolo has sort of planned their trajectory, or actually had a trajectory, because they have also dived into, like you mentioned, in the hospitality sector. They've tied up with educational institutes and provided housing for students, and it has also doubled its portfolio last year. So, how has Zolo been a consistent change maker in the real estate space? If you could just share a snippet of Zolo's story with us.
Right. So while other players are focusing on the growth prospect, we were focusing on the profitability prospect. We are among one of the players to be EBITDA positive right now because most of them are burning money in this sense because there is a lot of investment when it comes to the owner rentals, the deposits which you have to make to get those properties on lease terms and everything. So we were pretty much conservative when it comes to the expansions. And what we have seen, there is a lot of depth in existing market where we are present. We are present in right now 15 cities. And to give you an example of Bangalore, there are around 26,000 co-living and PGs opportunities. And right now, the portfolio size, it's too high. The overall TAM is too high that even if we want to get into that particular stream, we have a lot of opportunities to be created. So we were pretty much conservative when it comes to the expansion part because we have a lot of market in the existing territory. Also, in terms of our businesses, as I've mentioned in the start of my introduction, we have diversified horizontally into multiple categories. So our plan, like we are into co-living business, we are into student housing, that too from a outside campus view as well as inside hostel management. To name you, Manipal is one of our biggest client, where we are managing all their hostels and all kind of facilities inside their hostels. We are also providing them event supports and everything. And there are other aspects like industrial housing. Then we have an opportunity of Z assets. We want to get into CRE, senior living, office spaces. We have recently launched our hotel services. So in terms of depth wise, what we see, all kind of fringed inventory, we can reuse those inventories to different products, and we can recreate those experiences across industry and across portfolios. So we want to become a full stack, full range company where we want to dive into all such spaces and double our numbers. So for us, growth is one of the aspects to be taken care. But for us, sustainability is something which we want to create. So just to give you an example, if a normal user is staying in an apartment, 300 or 350 square feet is the area, and the person is somewhat using around 200 units. For our, for us, it's around 100 to 150 square feet with an adequate space for that person to live in, and with a unit, electricity spend of only 80 to 100 units. So those kind of carbon footprinting which we are creating, those sustainable options which we are creating in the market, plus our buildings are getting into solarification also. We do utilize our water which is outside, like we do recharge our water table as well whenever it comes to all kind of properties. So those kind of sustainability efforts also from the company standpoint we are taking in terms of building a new future and experience. So a person who is landing for us, like a person who is getting into the student housing mode or student life, we tap on those customers from the start. A person who is staying in a student housing facility of Zolo gonna be a kind of someday coming to a city like Bangalore or Hyderabad, and there the person wants to stay in one of our properties because the experience what we have given to that person for last 3 to 4 years, he or she wants to carry forward that. So probably that kind of legacy is something which as a company would like to build. And later point of time, if somebody wants to do an investment, they can even buy those properties and get the annuity returns of those co-living spaces. So that's how the overall prospect. And we are trying to double in the next year. By March 23, we'll be doubling our number of beds as well as our spaces, and we are also looking for outside opportunities outside India for student housing per se, because that's a customer play we want to play in that market.
Sounds good. I think that's a phenomenal growth story as well as an inspirational one. And I think I would want to ask Somil about his experience because he's been a serial founder, entrepreneur, and he has worked into different markets as well, the Middle Eastern market as well as India. And when it comes to viewing property as an investment or as a commercial investment, at least, Middle Eastern market is a little bit more mature as compared to India. So, what are some of the learnings or takeaways that you have seen or experienced in the Middle Eastern market that you've brought back here? And what is something different that you're trying in India, which you know will not cut it out for Middle East?
So yeah, there are a lot of differences, first of all, in the way different countries work and how their market operates. One thing I'll iterate on again is the fact that India is a very fragmented market. For example, in other countries like the Middle East, data is highly accessible. And not just to realtors or not just to developers, it's highly accessible to the retail client. And that's mainly through government initiatives or They provide this data to the customer so that they can easily access this data and make informed decisions. In India, it's a lot of hearsay. It's a lot of word of mouth. It's a lot of right intel, and I think majority of the good investments historically, I won't even say good investment. Majority of the business that happens is restricted to a select few of the population. So that is definitely one thing. Democratization of these kind of opportunities, I think, is very important in India, which is what we were working towards for our retail customers. Um, this will help us bring in more capital, definitely. Once we open it up to the retail clients, once we allow more people to be able to see the real value that a developing nation can provide, as opposed to a country that's already been developed. So I think that is very important. There's a lot of untapped potential and scope of appreciation in India that the majority of the population can now start to capture as well. Apart from that, I think developing nations, for example, Middle East, USA, these kind of countries also have a lot of innovative financial products based on real estate itself. There are a lot of alternative type of investments, fractional investments, and different kind of ways people can invest into real estate. Um, for example, real estate investment trust rates, US are almost 80% of the market is invested into REITs, as opposed to India where we just have three REITs. And but that's the thing. Slowly, more and more REITs are coming up. Currently, we have three. Fourth one is coming up. So yeah, these are the differences I think between different countries. But India is definitely starting to catch up. India, like I said, is a great market because of the untapped potential and the way the tech is driving the growth forward. And I mean, we all know historically real estate is loved by Indians. Like I think all of our dads and moms have always talked about यार घर खरीद लो, घर खरीद लो. And घर की value, I think Indians appreciate more than anything. And I think through the innovation that PropTech is seeing right now, even younger generation is now seeing the true potential in the market. So yeah, that's very interesting. Like I said, different markets operate differently, and I think India is on the right track to capture this potential.
Very rightly said. I think one of the things that entrepreneurs will always learn in India is being jugadu, because we can get away with anything. We will try and create solutions that don't exist and innovate in the market, because that's just who we are, that as people, I think. So Ankit, you were actually sharing an anecdote about how personalized counseling helped one of your customers invest in a commercial property as compared to buying a house that he was originally planning for. So, how would you advise other business owners to sort of start with this personalized selling or take this personalized approach? And what are some of the key things that they should keep in mind?
Look, basically, again, the this whole journey starts where you do the customer need analysis for your client. Normally, it's not about that a customer comes to you and start pitching in your product. It's always good to know your customer. So I think everybody who is at any level of client servicing should first of all listen to the client's need, analyze it, and then come up with a range of solutions. And out of that, finally counsel the customer about the perfect solution according to you as a subject matter expert, because ultimately you are the subject matter expert for that particular domain. A person might be a very great technocrat from IIT maybe, but once he's coming for home buying, I think I'm much better expert at the matter. So that is something we should be doing. So customer analysis is something. Secondly, it's not about only that particular consumer, but the category of that consumer. Because when we are meeting a consumer, the way he's working, the way his family is placed, the way his kids are placed, the way his working atmosphere is placed, or the similar set of sample sizes we always have in all our consumers. And we can always, we always have those researches from the mining of data we do. That okay, this kind of a customer persona has benefited from this particular solution. So it's always important for the senior leadership then that once the first set of counseling has been done, the first set of consumer need analysis has been done, then they should go back and come up with the similar kind of solutions for them. It's the only way to have a much better growth on their businesses is that you need to short down the closing cycle as much as possible, because time is the only commodity which is utmost expensive today, and it's for both of us. It's for us as consumer business owners. It's also for the consumer. So I think bridging that gap, reducing the closing cycle as much as possible should be the key factor for any sales-driven organization.
Yeah, I think everybody today is striving either for retention and repeat customers or reducing that sales cycle all the time. One thing that I've often heard from all of y'all is that data is important, analyzing stuff is important, building that conversation or making that conversation personalized is important. Market intelligence is something that helps you sell better. So there's a lot of data and personalization and automation in technology that I've heard, but I would now open the floor to you guys and ask which is some of the few key pieces of technology that you really love and would thrive and would truly trust for your business to thrive with.
Look, I think it's important for having all kind of tools with us, starting from, I don't know if I can talk about competition here because powered by Lead Squad, but talking about any and all CRMs that are available out there, any and all ERPs that are available out there, which can give us solutions at both the end, at the consumer end as well, where the front end is available for them, where we can provide them with better platforms, showcasing the products that we have, identifying, researching, comparing the products that a consumer wants to compare. But at the same time, if we do not have the back end sorted for us, because we have oceans of data with us. Any fast-paced organization has oceans of data. If we are talking about we are a 800 plus sales professionals company, we do give everybody about 10 20 leads per day. We have got crores of leads with us now. But if we do not have the right set of responses and feedbacks to those leads while we are talking to them firsthand, then we won't be able to, fetch on that lead bank for our future products, for our future endeavors. So I think the back end of the software is of utmost importance. It's more important than the front end of the software. So if the business has the entire clarity on what the data we have, what kind of consumers we have encountered, and for what kind of product, ultimately it's a mix and match. It's a marriage. The consumer and the business owners, they marry on common grounds. So if we do not have the common ground working, then it gets very difficult for us to thrive and to upscale. Because scaling is something which is not possible on mere Excel sheets and basic reviews and all. So we definitely need ERPs in our system. So this is one side where the business is required towards the business development or selling cycle. But at the same time, we need to have a much better clarity for our employees internally in terms of their performance management, in terms of their feedbacks and their ratings and everything. So today the need is for a combined solution which can give you each and everything, and I don't have to toggle between different platforms. Although APIs are there and everything is there, but I still crave for a platform where everything can be done at the same platform. I need not to go out for a messenger, for a video conferencing tool, for an HRMS, for a lead management. I think that's something that again drains you out and makes you into the web of confusions and no clarity of your data. So I think this is something that we all crave for today.
True. I think Anuj will be able to back me up that we do provide a little bit of that support in terms of integrating all different platforms when it comes to Lead Square. Anuj, if you have any thoughts, not on Lead Square, just technology in general.
Okay. So yeah, right now, technology, I mean, we all know data is the oil. And this particular data, how you use it is the main key of it. Everyone has the data right now. How you can use your chat GPT models, different kind of Power BI tools, or different kind of dashboarding tool to understand what your consumer wants. So just to give you an example, in our company, what we have seen across, like if you move to any PG or any place, you don't know the other person. You don't know whether you are a party person and the other person is maybe kind of he doesn't like the party or he or she doesn't like the party. You want to drink, the other person doesn't want to drink. You want to maybe watch TV or maybe watch a late night movie, the other person doesn't want to, and it's a hell. Then it's like a wrong marriage. You crave to come out of that, or maybe you want to shift out of that particular room, the same way we have done in hostels. But with the data what we have analyzed, and we have created certain profiles. Now if anyone comes to our platform and fills the basic data platform, we automatically matches that roommate personalization, and we give that person a specific roommate. If you're a party person, stay with a party person. If you want to enjoy study, stay with a person who's a bookaholic. So those kind of things is the data which will give you those kind of accesses when you rightly use those data. Just to give you another anecdote, in terms of a room, I mean, all the PG rooms or any kind of a personalized room, they are specific in a standardized format. If you can see this blue wall, it's standardized across places. If I go in all kind of pages, it might be the same. But with the help of data, we understood the personalization efforts of our customer. What exactly do they like? Now they can come to one of our platforms and then personally choose if they want to have a cat picture. They can hang that cat picture behind, and their room will be automatically be customized as per their choices. So those kind of things can be kind of taken care when the data comes in. And now so many tools are available right now, Jagrati. Like you can build your own low code and no code tool. I mean, not to defame or not to take away business from Lead Square, we can build our own CRM. It's pretty easy. And it's a low code, no code tool where you can directly build everything from Google Scripts. I personally, in my organization, my legal contracts are being used with the help of Google Scripts. We are creating all our legal contracts through Google Scripts. There is no software we're using. So those kind of good efforts you can take when it comes to all kind of data and technology. And I think all the new age tech companies should definitely use the new kind of technology like AI. So just to give you another anecdote about AI, we are using those AI to train. We don't need any kind of personal chatting support, because if suppose you want to book a room or book a PG, you will call someone. Now that has been automatically answered with the help of an AI bot. That is automatically can be taken care of with the help of an AI bot. It's advanced version of a chatbot. So those kind of new things, I think probably companies should now focus on with the development of millennials and newest tech people. And I think probably there will be a future where you'll understand the same way which Ankit mentioned, that probably will create a single source of truth where everything can be done in a single platform. Because I think all the platforms are doing more or less the same. They're using more or less the same technology or same interfaces or those JavaScripts to create those things. All we have to do is integrate everything and make each other talk to each other through APIs or some kind of technology. That is something which is left out.
That's good. Somil, do you have any technologies that you would vouch for?
Yeah, sure. I come from a tech background, so if I deep down into it, I have like a plethora of tools and technologies that we use internally. So let me not do that, but give an overall picture of the kind of things that we do. Like everyone is talking about here, data is so important. So I think um, so we personally believe in building our tools ourselves because that gives us the most flexibility in terms of how we want to take that product forward. Either it be a client-facing product or an internal tool. So that is our first approach. However, as a young startup, it's not always possible to do that in the stipulated timelines. Can't build my own CRM honestly, like Lead Square and Freshworks have done in the last couple of years. There's really no point, recreating the wheel. So I think it's a combination of different tools and technologies that you integrate that can get the job done. I would love it, Ankit, if we had a platform that could do everything, but unfortunately, that is for most of us that is not the case. So I think for sustainable growth, it's important to move fast. It's important to know what kind of tools and technologies can work well together. Again, as a tech person, I can tell you integrations break all the time. Sometimes APIs will not give the right response, and your entire team goes into a frenzy trying to figure out what went wrong. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's for the senior leadership again to kind of make sure they understand technology. I think technology is not anymore for the engineering team; it's for the whole company. I think every single one of us need to understand technology and need to make the right decisions, make the right calls for the stage we are at. And so that is what we do. We marry CRM data, we marry data from a data warehouse. Data science team is working on something else, but it's all about just management of all these tools and technologies. And one last thing that I'd mention is like Anuj and Ankit both talked about user personalization is so important. The recommendation engine that you build to provide liquidity in the marketplace is so important. So again, that is one of our focus areas as well. AI has progressed in a way that now everyone can, use it and everyone can extract the right value out of it. So that is also something, that we highly focus on so that we're able to effectively, provide liquidity in the marketplace.
That's great. I think I'm so sorry we would have overshot our time of discussion, and there's just maybe one or two questions that we can take from the audience. So I would highly recommend that if you have any questions to ask to our speakers, please put them in chat or the questions tab. And thank you so much, Anuj, Somil, Ankit, for taking this time and interacting with our audience. I saw a lot of reactions and hearts to a lot of things that they agreed with when it comes to the discussion that we had. And yeah, Shibani, if you have any closing notes.
Was just listening to the conversation and taking it all in. It was a really, really interesting discussion, and I was actually thinking of ways to repurpose this content. As a typical marketer, that's what I was thinking about. So definitely a lot of snippets to use on social media and promote a lot of the insightful content that we've got today. So that's what I would say. But yeah, over to you, Jagruti, and thank you so much to the audience, though, and our speakers. More importantly, Anuj, Somil, Ankit, thank you so much for giving us your time, an hour today, and taking us through this. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I think if the audience has any questions and would like to reach out to us speakers on LinkedIn, they would be happily available and would love to answer it. If you have any questions, you can also email them to us, and we'll make sure that we share them with the speakers and get an answer back for you guys. Thank you so much for spending an hour for this evening, and hope you all have a good weekend and a happy long weekend to you all.
Yeah, long weekend. Yay! Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. It
Thank
was
you,
great
guys.
talking
Thank
to
you.
all of you.
Bye.
Pleasure,
Bye bye.
guys.